Let's start with something that most people don't like to admit. Your emotions are one of the biggest drivers of your spending. Not your income, not your needs, your emotions. And if you don't learn to control that, your money will constantly leave your account without you even understanding where it went. The first emotional trap is impulse purchases. This is the classic I deserve this moment. You've had a stressful day, you're tired, you feel overwhelmed, and suddenly buying something feels like a reward. It might be clothes, gadgets, skincare, food, or even small online purchases that feel harmless in the moment. But here's the issue. Impulse spending is rarely about the item itself. It's about trying to fix a feeling quickly. The brain gets a short dopamine hit, and for a moment, you feel better. But that feeling fades fast, and what remains is often regret, or worse, a shrinking bank balance. The second trap is emotional shopping as a coping mechanism. This is deeper than impulse buying. This is when shopping becomes your response to stress, boredom, loneliness, or even comparison. You scroll, you see someone living a better lifestyle online, and suddenly you feel like you need something to catch up or feel good about yourself again. This is where social media plays a huge role. You are constantly exposed to curated lives, new outfits, new gadgets, new homes, new everything, and without realizing it, your brain starts associating spending with self-worth. But spending money is not self-improvement. It's not emotional healing either. It's just a temporary distraction. The third emotional trap is retail therapy disguised as self-care. Self-care is important, but somewhere along the way, it got confused with consumption. A self-care day turned into a shopping day. A reward turned into an excuse. I worked hard, so I deserve this becomes the justification for purchases you never planned for. Real self-care improves your life without damaging your financial stability. Emotional spending does the opposite. It creates a cycle where you feel good briefly, then stress later when you check your bank account. And finally, there's the subtle but powerful trap of decision fatigue spending. After a long day of making decisions, your brain gets tired. In that state, you're more likely to choose convenience over logic. That's when you order food instead of cooking, buy things you don't need just to avoid thinking, or click buy now without comparing prices. It feels small in the moment, but repeated over time, it becomes a serious financial leak. So what's the solution? It's not about never spending emotionally, because we're human. It's about creating a pause between the emotion and the purchase. A small gap, even 10 minutes. Because most emotional spending decisions don't survive a short delay. When you start recognizing these patterns, something powerful happens. You stop reacting to your emotions with money, and you start responding with awareness instead. And that shift alone can save you more money than any budgeting app ever will. One of the most dangerous financial traps is also one of the most socially accepted: lifestyle inflation disguised as success. It doesn't look like a problem at first. In fact, it looks like progress. You start earning more money, and naturally, you start improving your lifestyle. A better apartment, a nicer car, upgraded clothes, frequent dining out, newer gadgets. It feels like you're finally leveling up in life. And to some extent, that's normal. The issue begins when your lifestyle starts growing at the same speed as your income, or even faster. Because at that point, you are not building wealth. You are just upgrading expenses. Let's start with the most visible example: expensive cars that stretch your budget. A car is often treated as a symbol of success, but financially, it's one of the worst assets to overspend on. The moment you buy a car that is too expensive for your income, you lock yourself into years of insurance, maintenance, fuel costs, and repayments that quietly restrict your financial freedom. You might feel successful sitting inside it, but financially, you are often under pressure outside of it. Then there's the quieter version of lifestyle inflation: constant upgrades that are not necessary. Phones, laptops, watches, fitness trackers. Technology evolves fast, but that doesn't mean your financial priorities should evolve with it. Many people upgrade devices that are still perfectly functional simply because a newer version exists. But ask yourself honestly, is this improving your life significantly, or just slightly enhancing it for a high cost? Most of the time, it's the second one. And that brings us to a deeper issue: confusing lifestyle upgrades with financial success. Social media has made this worse. Success is no longer measured by stability, savings, or investments. It is measured by visibility. What you drive, what you wear, where you travel, what you post. So people start increasing their lifestyle not because they are financially ready, but because they want to appear financially successful. But here's the uncomfortable truth: looking rich and being wealthy are not the same thing. One is often funded by income. The other is built by discipline. The real danger of lifestyle inflation is that it silently reduces your financial flexibility. As your expenses rise, your ability to save decreases. And without savings or investments, even a high income can leave you financially vulnerable. You become someone who looks successful but cannot afford to slow down. And that is a fragile position to be in. So what's the alternative? It's not about living cheaply or denying yourself enjoyment. It's about intentional upgrades. Before increasing your spending, you should be increasing your financial foundation, your savings rate, your investments, your emergency fund. A powerful habit is to delay lifestyle upgrades even after your income increases. Give yourself time to let your financial base grow before your expenses catch up. Because real success is not when you can afford more things, it's when you don't feel pressured to buy them. At the end of the day, lifestyle inflation is subtle. It doesn't feel like a mistake in the moment. It feels like reward. But long-term wealth is built by people who learn to enjoy success without letting it silently increase their financial burden. Convenience is one of the most expensive things you can consistently buy, and the problem is it doesn't feel expensive in the moment. In fact, it feels smart. It feels efficient. It feels like you're optimizing your life. But in reality, convenience spending often costs you twice. Once in money and once in habits you slowly lose control over. Let's start with the most common example, food delivery and takeout culture. Ordering food is easy. It saves time, it removes effort, and it feels harmless, especially when it's just a few times a week. But what most people don't calculate is the hidden cost structure. Delivery fees, service charges, surge pricing, tips, and inflated menu prices compared to eating the same meal at home. Individually, these costs look small. But financially, small leaks repeated daily become significant drains over time. And beyond money, there's a second cost. You gradually lose the habit of preparing your own food. That means you're not just paying more, you're also becoming more dependent on a system that profits from your convenience. Then there are subscriptions you don't actively use. This is one of the most underestimated financial leaks today. Streaming platforms, music apps, cloud storage, fitness apps, productivity tools, the modern world has shifted from one-time purchases to monthly commitments. The problem is not having subscriptions. The problem is forgetting them. Many people are paying for services they rarely open. Because once a payment is automated, it disappears from your awareness. It no longer feels like spending, it feels like background noise. But over a year, those small monthly amounts can quietly add up to hundreds or even thousands of wasted money. And then there's another layer of convenience spending that is less obvious, paying for inefficiency instead of solving the root problem. For example, paying for express delivery instead of planning ahead. Paying for premium tools instead of learning a free alternative. Paying for shortcuts instead of building systems that make life easier in the long term. This creates a pattern where money replaces planning and spending replaces discipline. Convenience should ideally save time so you can invest it elsewhere. But when convenience becomes a default reaction to everything, it starts replacing basic life skills like budgeting, cooking, planning, and organizing. And that's where it becomes expensive in a deeper way. Because financial freedom is not just about how much you earn, it's about how much control you have over your daily decisions. Over-reliance on convenience slowly reduces that control. So the question is not whether convenience is bad, it's whether you are using it intentionally or unconsciously. Intentional convenience is powerful. It improves productivity and quality of life. But unconscious convenience spending is just frictionless consumption. It feels easy, but it quietly weakens your financial discipline. The goal is simple. Use convenience as a tool, not a habit. Because the moment convenience becomes automatic, your money starts leaving automatically too. The final and perhaps most emotionally driven category of wasted money is status spending and false investments. This is where finance stops being logical and starts becoming social. Because at this stage, you are no longer just spending money for utility, you are spending it for perception. Let's start with status spending, which is the quiet pressure to look successful rather than be financially secure. This shows up in many forms: luxury brands, expensive watches, high-end gadgets, designer clothing, and lifestyle choices that are chosen not for their practicality, but for the image they project. And the most important thing to understand is this: status spending is rarely about the item itself. It is about validation. It's the feeling of being respected, admired, or accepted. It's the idea of signaling success to others, even if internally your finances are under pressure. The problem is that this type of spending creates a cycle. You buy something to feel a certain way. It works temporarily, but then the feeling fades, and the brain starts looking for the next purchase to recreate it. So instead of building wealth, you end up maintaining an image, and maintaining an image is expensive. Now let's talk about the second part: false investments. These are purchases that are marketed or even believed to be investments, but in reality, they are liabilities disguised as opportunities. A common example is expensive items bought with the justification that they will hold value or appreciate. While some assets do retain value, most consumer goods depreciate quickly, regardless of branding or price tag. Another modern version of false investment is the rise of get-rich-quick courses, schemes, or hype-based financial products. These often promise unrealistic returns, financial freedom in a short time, or secret strategies that banks don't want you to know. The marketing is designed to target ambition and impatience, the desire to skip the slow process of wealth building. But real investing is not exciting in the short term. It is consistent, boring, and based on time, diversification, and discipline, not shortcuts. And yet, people are often drawn to false investments because they feel like a shortcut to the lifestyle they want. That's the emotional overlap between status spending and false investments. Both are driven by the desire to accelerate success. One makes you look rich. The other promises to make you rich quickly. But both can quietly drain your financial progress if not questioned properly. Here's the key distinction to understand. Real investments grow your net worth. False investments usually transfer your money to someone else's marketing funnel. And status spending? It often does neither. It simply converts money into temporary perception. The deeper issue here is not just financial, it's psychological. These spending habits are tied to identity. People want to feel successful, respected, and ahead in life. And money becomes the fastest tool to simulate that feeling. But real wealth does not require constant demonstration. In fact, the wealthiest financial positions are often the least visible. So what's the solution? It comes down to awareness and restraint. Before any purchase, ask a simple question. Am I buying this for value or for validation? If it's for validation, it is almost always expensive in the long run. If it's for value, it should make your financial position stronger, not just your image stronger. Because at the end of the day, financial freedom is not about how impressive your life looks from the outside. It's about how stable, secure, and flexible your life feels when no one is watching.